What is going on, folks? Welcome to a very special Item 9 video where Carter and I are counting down our top games of 2022, ending with our game of the year. We had a great year for gaming. I think
Definitely.
I think the current gen consoles, the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 have started to really hit their stride this year. Tons of games that we played on both consoles, and even a few Nintendo games I picked up this year, which was nice. But yeah, Carter's gonna talk about some of his favorite games of the year. I'm gonna talk about some of the games that I played that I really enjoyed this year, and that's all gonna culminate to our game of the year, which we will be talking about at the end of the video. But without further ado, Carter, you want to get things started? What was one of the games on your list of must plays? Carter's must plays of 2022.
I'll start off with one of the. I guess two are pretty recent, but I'll start off with one of the more recent ones. Is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I'm a big Borderlands fan. I was a bit hesitant, and it did take me a while to hop into it. I waited till it was on sale to grab it. Then I grabbed it, I think, like 60 or 70% off. It was a good deal, and for the money that I paid, I'm definitely enjoying my time. I also have a bunch of keys because I would always just enter the codes because I would get notifications on Twitter. So it's really nice having all those extra keys so I can just loot up on extra guns whenever I level up. But they change it up a decent amount. You can change like your knife and stuff now, and like there's a few other things you can change too, which added like a nice little touch. And you can also like change your abilities. Like you don't have the standard ability of the old one. You have like two different magical powers that you can swap out, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so that's probably like my number 5 or 4.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to play Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, but I know it was a fun game. A lot of people enjoyed playing it. It was kind of a little bit of a mix up on the gearbox side there, trying to change up the formula a little bit, which I appreciate.
I'm
Yeah,
glad they're doing something.
yeah, exactly. I think that was pretty much one of the best moves because I believe Tiny Tina has had some of the better DLCs from the game in the past.
Yeah.
From what I remember, what I've heard. So that was always a cool character that they were able to expand upon, and kind of give them their own game.
And like, oh, I forgot to mention too, like because it is like a tabletop game, like there is parts where you go in like a third person where you're actually walking around on the tabletop and like you like can like move around the board and go. That's how you go into like that's like your main world hub, I guess, and that's how you go like into all the different realms, which I thought was really cool and a nice mix up.
Yeah, that is pretty nice. Yeah. I think for me, one of the games that I really enjoyed playing this year would have to be Slow Clap's Sifu. I think that this arcade beat 'em up style action game is just really something that I've been wanting to play for a long time. And we kind of got a glimpse of what they were trying to accomplish with this style of fighting game in Absolver. And I was a big fan of Absolver. I liked that you had the different fighting stances here. But this is so elevated to the next level with Sifu. And it is such a love letter to martial arts cinema and some of the better films that I've seen, like The Raid Redemption. And there's that hallway fight scene that's straight out of Old Boy. And it is such a fun game where you're constantly trying to do better. You don't want to make as many mistakes, so you constantly grind the same levels, trying to memorize enemy attacks, and you're trying to pull off different combos, all so that you can beat the level as efficiently as possible so you don't die and age as much. And I think the whole aging with the death mechanic was something super unique that I haven't seen in a game before. And for me, it was really just a refreshing game. And the fact that the studio is now rolling out more updates for it as well with the difficulties and sort of the accessibility options was also great to see. But yeah, I think that Sifu is definitely a must play for any gamer in 2022. If you want a bit of that challenge, if you just like kung fu game, martial arts action games, this is the game for you. And also, they're making a movie of Sifu. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
They were in talks
Already?
about that. Yeah, they were in talks
Jeez.
about making a movie of Sifu. So I'm excited to see more out of this universe.
Mhm.
Very cool stuff. But yeah, back to you, Carter.
Yeah, I didn't hop into Sifu, but I might have to check it out this year. But for my next one, I'm gonna have to go with I'm gonna have to go High on Life.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really liking this world that Justin Roiland and the people at Squanch Games have made for us. It's the graphics and like the world are just so beautiful. Like how does this game look so good? Like from what I know, it's not like a super big team, but like the work they put into this and the world that they made, it just looks so good and like it's just so fun and like so goofy and like I thought I was a bit worried about the talking guns and like I think I'm almost done the game. I'm like very close to the end game, but honestly it hasn't annoyed me at all. If anything, I kind of wish they would talk a bit more, but everything of how like there's so many little Easter eggs of like how you can watch all the movies and stuff and like if you just wait around after a guy does something, he'll like start talking more and he'll do like some funny stuff and like just the effort they put into the game of just making it like so fun and goofy and over the top is just like something you don't see in video games these days, especially like video games are that well developed.
Yeah.
Although I did get a little bit bored here and there with the gun combat as I like got to each new gun, but by the time I had a decent plethora of guns, I was enjoying my time being able to swap and try different moves and stuff. And I really like the dash mechanic and the yeah
Yeah, I
jump to
think
hover.
Squanch Games really made something special here. Considering the reception that the last game, Trover Saves the Universe, got, it was something that came out and people played it, and it was funny to stream or whatever. It was in VR. But yeah, High on Life. From the decent amount that I played, I really thought that this was a special game. It's the commentary in it is extremely funny. The dialogue is written um, so perfectly. Like you never get tired of like listening to the guns chime in or anything like that. The Gatlians, as they're called. Um, but yeah, I think that that was definitely a really surprising title that
Yeah,
came out,
definitely.
and I didn't expect to have as much fun as I did with it. Again, going back to like the gameplay too, very reminiscent of and I've been saying this Doom. It's kind of like you have your arena shooter areas where you're just trying to move around and take out guys as quickly as you can, try and get some health from these guys and some ammo, just kind of moving around the different arenas sometimes. And yeah, for the most part, the amount of depth in that game too, which was really cool. The levels are really something to behold. They're very
And we
differentiating
even
in art
noticed like
styles.
depending on like what boss, because like they give you options to do this boss or this boss depending on what one you do first and like what guns you have out when you go to the next one. Like when I did a mission and then Gabe did it, Gabe like had a completely different thing that he had to do with these guys than I had to do. Like I had to file paperwork and Gabe ended up just like getting them to, like kiss each other or kill each other
I
or
did do
something.
that. That was pretty funny. I do remember
Like I
that.
really like that. Like that, I didn't expect that. So that really blew me away when that I seen that.
Yeah, and then I mean, this game that I'm about to talk about next it came out in early access like a year ago or something like that, but its final launch came out this year around September, and this was a game that I sunk a lot of hours into, and it really delivered on what it sought out to be, and that was Grounded from Obsidian. These guys know how to make RPGs, man, and this survival RPG is absolutely fantastic. Basically, it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the game. You are a shrunken down teenager, and you have to navigate the overgrown backyard. And you can do this with by yourself or with a bunch of friends. And I think Obsidian absolutely nails what they set out to do here. It's so much fun. The fact that it's like being in just like your backyard or my backyard. We've all had the experience of just playing around in your backyard, and sort of building what you can and messing around there. And the fact that it's like George shrinks the game, and you're crafting all these different equipments and weapons, and you're building your bases, and the ecosystem that they've crafted so beautifully here. Like, all the bugs will interact with each other in a different way. They'll interact with you in a different way, and you're able to craft different things from these different bugs and whatnot. And although it was what was lacking in story, I think they really just nailed in gameplay. Yeah, there was just days that I spent in Grounded trying to build like a really cool house, and I think they have an awesome community as well for that game. People are always trying to come up with crazy house designs, and I think that it's just a really unique and interesting game, and it also happens to be incredibly fun. And yeah, Games Pass. This game is on Games Pass, so if you haven't checked it out, be sure to grab a group of friends and head into Grounded, especially if you guys are into the whole survival game kind of thing, like, uh, Valheim or anything like that, or Tarkov or stuff like that. I think you should definitely hop into Grounded. It is quite a fun game.
Yeah, I dabbled a bit in Grounded. Definitely didn't go as hard as you did, but I definitely had some fun going out and exploring with you on some outings, having to fight some spiders and some ticks and all that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a huge, and the thing is, like, they updated it constantly during early access, and they just kept adding so many different varieties of enemies and insects. And yeah, and again, this game too, with the accessibility options, are really impressive in this game. I think they wanted to give everybody the chance to play this, especially with their arachnophobia mode. If you're afraid of spiders, don't worry. Grounded development team has got you covered. So yeah, guys, Grounded, check it out if you haven't. It's definitely going to be on my list for 2022's must play. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So next up for me is one that I definitely really excited about when I heard it, when I seen the announcements and started seeing it. I haven't played a Pokemon game in a long time before that. I think the last one I played was probably like
Black or White or
Sun
something?
and Moon.
Oh yeah, Sun
So
and Moon.
like
Yeah.
a good like 3 or 4 generations before. So I've been out of the Pokemon game for a while, but when I seen Arceus with that like whole world you can explore, the Pokemon are just free roaming. I had to hop in, and it was definitely really fun. I really liked how like the Pokemon were just roaming all over the world, and like you got to see them in their natural habitat. Like that's what I always wanted as a
Yeah.
kid. I just wanted to see the Pokemon living as one with people and just living as one as nature. It was just really really awesome. But I definitely had a lot of fun with that. I went really hard in that, but I didn't pick up the new one, but we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun with Arceus. Definitely might hop back into it. And yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on Arceus again, as a guy who's not played very many Pokemon games as of recent. I think this was a real return to just like classic. You just really just trying to catch as many as you can. I think they really stripped back a lot of the mechanics in this game too. There's not really all that trading and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you just really are set out on a mission to complete the first Pokedex, and the tools that you pick up along the way are really cool. I think that it adds such an awesome layer to the game as well when you want to go back and visit different areas and whatnot. So I really did actually enjoy Arceus, and I think for me it's definitely the better Pokemon game that came out this year. If you wanted to, if you're choosing to pick one to play, definitely don't sleep on Arceus. But other than that, I mean, I really, really wanted to talk about a game that from the folks at Ubisoft, and that is Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. And to me, this game was absolutely perfect in terms of what it was, and that is like the optimum strategy RPG that you should be you should be playing. This game is absolutely fantastic. It's fun. There's so much to do. There's so much content here, and they've got a huge roadmap of what's to come later on, and I'm so excited to play that. I think that I might go back and play the first one. I'm not too sure, but overall, it is definitely a must play for Switch owners. So you are again Mario classic characters teamed up with the Rabbids, who are sort of like crossed with like Mario characters too. There's Mario Rabbid and Peach Rabbid and all of them. But you're also introduced to the new addition of the Sparks, and they give your characters and weapons added abilities. And I think there's like something like 32 that you can collect, and you can equip like 2 at a time. And honestly, it was so much fun. The fact that they opened up the battlefield in this game, where you're able to move around and ducking behind cover and whatnot. You don't just like pick a square and move to it. You've got like the freedom to kind of like move around, and that really adds like a certain layer to these like turn-based strategy games. Like I remember when they added that in South Park, it really made me want to play more turn-based like games. And so I think that Mario Rabbids here is just it really is the premium experience for turn-based like strategy games. They nailed it as a sequel as well. It basically felt like a return to Super Mario Galaxy as well, if you liked that game, because you're just going around to these different cool vibrant planets, and I guess you are essentially collecting these like Lumas. So it's pretty cool, and I think that Ubisoft did a great job when you're handling an IP like Mario, and you want to really treat it with respect, and I think that's exactly what they did at Ubisoft. So hats off to them for making one of the best Mario games this year for sure. One of the best Nintendo games, 100%. And I think this next game we can both speak for is definitely on our list when we talk about God of War Ragnarok. What a masterpiece. Shout out to Sony for the copy of the game. We still haven't opened it yet. We're figuring out what we want to do with it. If you want to win a copy of it, let us know.
Yeah.
Hit us up in the comments. But yeah, Sony Santa Monica again, knocking it out of the park with what is truly become one of the biggest masterpieces to come out of video games in the last decade or so. I think when they talk about like really powerful performances in video games, they're going to talk about, of course, The Last of Us, and they're going to talk about God of War. And I think that they really, really respectfully treated the reboot of the game. And I think for me, it's fun. You know, the gameplay mechanics are solid, and you know the story's solid. What more can I say, Carter? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I really enjoy Ragnarok. It's definitely, like you said, like everyone hypes up Last of Us, but I don't know. I really definitely prefer God of War's story and like the characters, and you know, it's not as realistic, but it hit my heart more, you know? Like the feeling I got when I finished the first God of War and the feeling when I finished this God of War. It's not as hype, but it still pulled on my heartstrings, you know? And that rich world, and I love how in this one we got introduced to more of the characters too. We got to know the whole cast more. It wasn't just, you know, a father-son story. It was a father-son story, including everyone that we've met so far and including new people too. And another thing that really, really blew me away is just how different and vibrant all of the realms were. Like, it truly felt like, you know, the realms were coming to life, and yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like being able to explore and travel to the all 9 realms in this game was really awesome, and really what we all wanted in the first game. Like, so that was really awesome. And I think the performances we got from Christopher Judge and Sonny Soljic and Danielle Bisutti, and you know the whole team. And of course, you can't forget Bear McCreary's amazing score. So I think all in all, it's just the recipe for a perfect video game. And yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet and you're a PS5 owner, what are you doing? Get out there, pick
As
up
far
God
as
of War.
single narrative games
Yeah,
go, can't be beat.
Yeah, I mean, these are the classic games that I want to play. When I've got some me time, I just want to sit down and crack into a nice single player story-driven game. This is the kind of content that I want. Yeah, so I think that wraps it up for our must plays. But I think now it's time to talk about our game of the year.
Ooh.
Item 9 Gaming's game of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and that has to go to the amazing, brilliant, breathtaking Elden Ring from the folks at From Software.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what a game! What a game that captivated the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's just so expansive, and there's just so much to do. That it really is one of the best Dark Souls type games in like the last. I think it's the best one out of them. I dabbled in Bloodborne.
I don't know if I like it better than Bloodborne or Sekiro, but the addictiveness, like that. It's definitely one of those times where like even Gabe's like for the first like 4 months before it came out, Gabe was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna like it. It's gonna be bad." And then Gabe was just like, "I can't stop hopping back into it. Like it just enthralls you into the world, and like you just want to explore everywhere because you don't know where anything is with the way that they made it, where everything is completely empty. There's no missions. There's no guide points really. There's just these little blocks where it tells you where to find a map, and like it really made it feel like it's your world. You carve your slice into the what is it called again? Not Middle Earth. Fuck, what's it called? What do they call it again?
I can't remember.
I can't remember what it's called, but if you really carve your spot into the Elden Ring world, and fuck, it hits different.
Yeah.
And like the co-op and like everything. They switched up the co-op too, and I never was really even into PvP in Souls games before, but I went pretty ham in the PvP in this one too.
Yeah, I think for me as a non-traditional Souls player, I really enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed the fact that I would play it and then I would go to work the next day and I would talk to my coworkers and be like, "Hey, what part did you get to when you were playing?" And like we would just talk about it for like literally like months, and it was so fun. And I haven't had an experience like that since I picked up the Elder Scrolls for the first time. Although I feel like I played so much out of I feel like there was a lot to do in Elden Ring, and it was so, even though there was parts where I would get so frustrated at a boss fight, I would just always be like, all right, I'm going to go try again tomorrow. I would just come back to it. And as many times as I wanted to just rage quit, I didn't, because like it was just felt so rewarding. And yeah, I think that if you've been thinking about getting into the Souls games or anything like that, this game is just much more approachable. But I will say it's not very accessible. That's one of the gripes. I think that this is an amazing game, and I think everybody should be able to play it. I think they should definitely add more options to it so that everybody can play it. But for the most part, yeah, I think the folks at From Software definitely did an amazing job.
Nailed it on the head.
Yeah, they rightfully deserve Game of the Year for this one. And I'm very excited to see what they've got coming out next. But yeah, I think that if any overlooked games you can think of, I think TMNT Shredder's Revenge is definitely overlooked for me. Roller Drome is another game that I wanted to talk about. That comes from the people at I think it's Roll 7 or something like that. Yeah. And they did Ollie World. So if you haven't played any of those are fantastic
Scorn
games.
was pretty good. A little wild. If you're feeling spicy,
yes.
you hop on to Scorn.
Scorn was a little wild. I mean, there's some games that we didn't even try this year. We never even hopped into Ghostwire Tokyo.
I know didn't hear the best. So.
Yeah, that was one of the games we wanted to play. We didn't get a chance to. If there was anything that you guys played that you want us to talk about, or what was your game of the year 2022, let us know in the comments. I'd love to talk about it. There were so many good ones. Oh, Cult of the Lamb was fantastic. But yeah, let us know, and we'd definitely like to talk about it. And yeah, if you haven't checked out any of our reviews, we've got some of these games and our reviews down below, so check that out. And thank you for tuning in to Item 9's Games of the Year 2022. If you like this content, be sure to like the video and subscribe. Check us out on Sundays for Up at 9 with Item 9. And until next time, folks, we will see you all in the next video.
Item 9. It's the bee's knees.
Bee's knees.